I gratefully acknowledge this series was recorded on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Indigenous peoples have maintained stewardship and jurisdiction over these lands since time immemorial. Were you a tomboy? Were you not? Like
the rugby pants? Rugby pants,
yes!
Right?
Yes.
Right? Rugby pants and just a sweatshirt. Like that was like, I got away with a lot with that.
And here's a vest.
And here's a vest.
You look awesome. Welcome to Mistergendered, the show where we swap labels for lived experience and get curious about life beyond the binary. Today we'll meet Louise Marshall, who runs It's Still a Dog's Life with her lifelong partner, where all the cool dogs in Vancouver get groomed. After work, you'll find her paddleboarding on lakes, oceans, and yes, fast-flowing rivers. Let's join the conversation. Why don't you start by giving us a snapshot of who you are today, how you identify, your age, your pronouns if you have, gender, anything like that you feel like sharing with us.
All right, so I'm a Gen Xer, 58. I identify as female. Yeah, and who I am today is I have a partner of 25 years in a great relationship. I have a beautiful home life and we share our business together as well. So we are literally, always together and it's a really nice life I feel like I'm having. Yeah.
Nice.
With my partner and
cool.
Who I am today. Yeah.
And do you identify as gay, lesbian, any of those fit for you?
I think for the most part, I would probably say gay. I'm using the word lesbian a little bit more with a bit more confidence. But yeah, that's really what I would say. Yeah.
So when you say using lesbian with a little more confidence, what's there for you?
I mean, it's the same thing that I've heard a lot of people say. It was kind of like that, but it had an undertone of harshness sometimes, and it just seemed a bit negative. And I feel like it's being embraced more now. It's not being
all the rage.
Negative. It's all the rage. We'll probably get into it, but family members didn't like that word.
Right.
So it's kind of like. So
it has a bad association.
Yeah,
from the past.
That seemed to be sort of the cringe word for them, and so I'm more confident with it now for sure. Yeah.
So let's go back a bit then and think about little Louise and your journey of how you came. What you remember as a kid. Were you a tomboy? Were you not? Like, what were you like as a kid? And kind of as much as you want to paint a picture of how you became Louise, the lesbian today.
Well, my memories go back to when I was 3. Wow. I had a crush on my mom's friend. So I mean, whether I had words for that or not, I just had crushes on so many women throughout my life. So I knew who I was.
And when you say I knew who I was, was there... at 3, you probably don't know, I'm a lesbian.
No,
but
I did not know that. No.
It probably over time something.
Yeah, and
clicks.
I knew it was different than what I should be. Right. I mean, so my sister and I are 18 months apart. She's older, right? And we are so polar opposite. She's just feminine. Everything feminine. My parents had to look out for her because of the boys, right? And me, total tomboy, right? So I knew what was expected of me as a young girl, but I never...
Were they okay with that? Did they let you
Yeah.
tomboy
I mean, for the most part. I mean, I grew up on a little farm, right? So it's not like I had to really wear dresses. But when we were younger, and I was born in England, and I spent the first 7 years there, we always were dressed identically. My sister and I. It's just what families did then. You just dressed the same. So, maybe that had something to do with, feeling like I have to fit in, later on, coming to Canada and whatever. But I wasn't forced into it, but I knew I wasn't fitting in.
And so how about going to school?
Going to school, I mean, I was just always in sports, right? And, you know, and I was lucky. I think they were called, the rugby pants. Remember? I mean, I was lucky. That was my era.
Rugby
pants,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Right? Rugby pants and just a sweatshirt. Like that was like, I got away with a lot with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sports are...
You know, like I'm either in a sports, you know, uniform or I'm in rugby pants. So I kind of got away with a bit there. And then, you know, my home life, I was, you know, mucking out stables and riding horses. So there's no, you know,
there's no dresses there.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom tried to, you know, encourage some things and I wore a dress to grad and, you know, but it wasn't huge in my life.
Do you remember how you felt wearing that dress? Or the story of the dress?
I was excited in some ways, terrified, and I felt like I was just in drag without having those words for it then, but I wasn't comfortable. I hoped it would make a difference, but it didn't.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And did the crushes start to take on a different feeling or connotation in high school as you know, got older?
Yeah. I was, I mean, crushes throughout. And I mean, I just knew just because of, you know, your thoughts and desires that it was just taking me to a different way. And
did you ever talk about it or was it just something you kept inside?
Oh,
like
yeah.
no friend, nobody?
No. And it turns out I ended up having 2 friends that were gay, but none of us discussed it. It was like, when we were until we were like 19 is when we all like, you know, we all kind of knew, but it was still the fear of openly discussing it. And I think my biggest fear was my parents ever knowing. And I wanted to tell them, I just didn't want them to find out without me having that conversation. Right. So I think because as soon as I did come out to my parents, it didn't matter to me who I talked to about it then after that. Like, it just was like, that was sort of, I had to get that done. And then my life actually moved forward very quickly after that. So the crushes then became having girlfriends, which I think I was 20 when I had my first like actual girlfriend. So, yeah.
And what about being on the farm and mucking about and your dad being a blacksmith?
Yeah, blacksmith,
right?
yeah.
And did he kind of let you help out?
Oh,
or
my God.
Would he encourage you to get in there and use tools and get dirty? And
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was his tomboy. Like, and so you know what, when I think about it, I was absolutely embraced for being the tomboy.
Kind of like the son he didn't have.
He does.
Bit? Oh yeah, but right, your brother. Okay.
But yeah, which is understandable. I mean, I was basically in between the two of them, right? You know, I was kind of definitely the middle child. But my brother didn't care about horses, right? Like it wasn't his thing. He was like on the mechanical side of things. So for me, that was my absolute bond with my dad was the horses. And so I got to, and he was proud to show me off as being the big strong one, right? Like,
oh, that's like, great.
There's a lot of funny stories, but so in that way I was absolutely embraced for being allowed to be who I was.
Yeah, it would make a difference.
Yeah,
versus
for
being
sure.
banned from the stables because you're a girl, or
yeah. So
okay,
so those are good memories.
Yeah, and so 20, the real coming out or getting the girlfriends, and how were you presenting then? Were you like presenting the way like? Hair, clothes, like was there a shift there when you came out, or was it always still, could you have carried the spirit of the tomboy the whole way through? I was
for the most part able to carry the spirit of the tomboy. I did go to a private college, what a waste. But they made you wear a dress to look the professional part. And so like that was the only time really in my life since then that I've had to.
Wow. How long was that for?
Oh, a good 6 months. Yeah. Otherwise, whatever, my affordability was at the time, just jeans, Doc Martens, you know, when I could get into those. And yeah, so I and I think we'll come back to her, but like Katie Lang kind of was a bit of a, I know.
Yes.
You know what? It wasn't like I was like a huge follower, but there was just something comforting about how she represented. And I just felt I could move forward with that because I was basically of her era coming out with her music and stuff. So I feel very, very fortunate that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gave me some confidence.
Oh, wow.
And I was really lucky. So I was in Vernon for 2 years after a couple of years, you know, doing some other work. And that was fun. And then I followed a girlfriend to Vancouver and then she dumped me pretty quick. And I'm like, well, I'm in Vancouver in this city that I am not comfortable. Like, I don't belong here. My parents and I always thought I'd be living in the mountains somewhere, you know, in a cabin. Like, I was like so out of my depth. And I went to Talk of the Town and I met somebody there, Crema. And for some reason, she took me under her wing and she got me a job there. And I thought I had nailed it. It was awesome. And then from there, and so I got to meet people and be around women, be around my community for the first time. And then I was in celebrities working and it was like, and I came to Vancouver in 1990 during the gay games. Like I couldn't have landed here
at a better time.
And so from being like of just having crushes and kind of having one girlfriend in Vernon to Vancouver, and I felt embraced and I'm here.
You're at the
and
center
I'm
of
happy,
it all.
and it was wild.
So
it was
Talk
awesome.
of the Town. Tell us about Talk of the Town, just for those who may not have been around in that
Talk
era.
of the Town was it was a lesbian nightclub, right? A couple of nights a week, maybe even 3 or 4 nights a week, because I actually had a full-time job. Like that was how, you know, like that's how busy we were then. I feel like I had a really amazing start in my 20s for sure coming here. So very thankful for being dumped quite quickly in Vancouver.
Yeah, you did well. You did well.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, it seems like in a way that not that it was easy sailing, but your coming out was kind of a fairly smooth progression. And then you landed in Vancouver. And so.
Well, I kind of glossed over the coming out. Okay. I mean, I knew, like, because I had the crushes, I knew who I was. And as I got older, I definitely knew that I wanted to be with women. And then there was the fear of that. And it took, like, there was a real fear of losing my parents. And it's not like we were super, super tight. Like, but we, you know,
they're your parents.
They're my parents, right?
Yeah.
And we were close, but they gave me a lot of freedom, like a lot of freedom. And but losing them, or them just coming to me and saying, "Hey, I found out," or "What's this all about?" Like, I had to take control of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's funny now, but because we used to write then. Remember when we used to write
letters?
Letters, yes.
Yes, I do.
So I wrote them a 6-page letter, legal form, both sides.
Whoa.
Huge coming out letter to my parents. And then I just sent it the next day without rereading it. I really came out to them, like I poured my guts out.
Sounds like it.
I really did. And I think anyways, they read it and their words to me were, "We love you." My dad's in the background. Let her know I love her.
Aw.
And then it was awkward for 6 months. But then we just slowly gained traction and things have just moved forward slowly, but always in the right direction. So, yeah.
Do you have that letter?
They do, I think.
Did you ever reread it?
No.
Oh, man.
I know. I just, oh my God.
Sometimes it's hard to look back on those things.
Sometimes it's hard to look back. I mean, I know I really did pour my guts and I've been doing it for like months with this letter, right? And finally one day it was just like, my friend's like, you just got to stick it in the mail. And that's like literally what happened. And yeah. But yeah. But after that, my coming out was much easier. Yeah, much easier, especially since I landed in Vancouver when I did. And yeah.
Yeah. Won the lesbian lottery, clearly.
Yeah. And even in my job now, like, I mean, people come in and whether they assume or it's a small city really, right? Or people talk, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. We can be every bit who we are and it just doesn't matter.
So I wanted to ask you about the dinner party that we had here that was in the film, not quite that, which I'll include some information at the end of the podcast about if people want to check it out. Tell us a bit about that, because I just remember we talked about it quite a bit afterwards and that kind of impact it had on you or what it made you think about.
Well, I know that for the question, I said that I would probably have reconstructive surgery.
Right.
I was afraid to not have breasts, and I'd fought with my breasts all my life. I'd never really cared for them. I think mostly because, like, really with the way clothes fit and stuff, it started to bring up a lot of, memories, like me being challenged about who I was. Like, I mean, in this day and era, there's like a lot of, pronouns for how I felt probably in my 30s and 40s. Like, do I really feel female? I know I didn't feel male, but I didn't feel like a woman. Like, there was all those kinds of things. And I had some struggling moments with that. But because of that dinner and this honest discussions that everybody had about themselves and embracing who you are, I came out of it and I just was like, you know what, I'm embracing who I am, what I am right now, and just had the confidence to move forward from that dinner party and saying I am female and this is who I am. Yeah.
So is that what it was for you, that before you said you felt like you weren't either, but then you felt like at that point you felt I am female? Or tell me more about that.
I wavered. I never felt like I wanted to have any changes, but I just didn't feel like I really belonged. I was really muddled with it until that dinner. And even the next dinner really solidified it more. And from there, I just was like, I felt like I just needed to be embraced by these wonderful women that just were like, be proud of who you are, who you think, who you want to be. And I think a couple of our female friends at the time have come out as they, them. And it was just about embracing who you are. But I came out saying, you know what? No, I am female. I accept who I am. And I'll still wear vests, just more comfortable, but it really helped me not look back anymore. Yeah. It was. Yeah. I think it was just friends and support. I just felt that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That sort of.
And the safety to talk about it. Right?
Yeah.
There was that, it was safe. That's what I thought about that evening. It was so beautiful and safe, even though there was really no introduction to that, but all these women just really respected each other's thoughts and opinions and stories that were told, right? And I just thought it was really beautiful that.
I think it's the power of listening and being witnessed, because there weren't instructions, but everybody took a turn and nobody said, oh, that reminds me of so, like there was no interjections. There was no comments. It just went one after the other after the other.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of power in listening.
Yeah.
To people.
And that's, absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely felt that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are, every day, I mean, I know you're in your own business and you have a certain amount of control over that environment. Just being in other places, like, do you get misgendered in washrooms and things like that? How's that go
I've
for
always
you?
had the sir. I've, gone into bathrooms. Definitely people are taking that quick look. And probably more embarrassed that it's happened, I am. But now, I mean, I had a really bad situation where I was swimming in the change room, and there's all these like there was a little swim class that had just come out, and the kids are probably 13 and 14, and the parents are waiting for them outside, and just in the community center, and I came out, and like the looks on their faces, these parents, like it was just shock. Like a guy had just walked out of their kid's room, change room, and I felt it like a blow, and I was like afraid for them, afraid of them,
right?
Afraid for myself, and it was just so quick that when I went through the door, I almost broke my arm because it was the wrong door to go through.
You were just trying to get out.
Yeah. And there was no way for me to just show that I wasn't a man, because I think it was winter, right? And that one hurt just because it was just such a misunderstanding. And I think that people kind of figured it out quickly. In just those 3 or 4 seconds, it was just like that fear and then that understanding. But now it's like if somebody says something, I'm probably more embarrassed, like for my friend that's with me that, you know, might be kind of going, oh God, that's a bit awkward. But now I'm like, you know what? I just own it. Like I have short hair.
Right.
Not that, you know, straight women don't have short hair, but I know how I'm presenting, and I'm okay with that. Like, you know, I mean, I do say when I go into change rooms, though, the first thing I'm doing is pretty much smiling, making eye contact, because I think I might have I might look a bit more feminine, like, or just that smile that just says, I'm okay. And I mean, as you know, I'm pretty easy to have a quick conversation with, right? So I usually try to put people at ease first, but it's not a burden anymore. It's just the way it is. That's all.
Yeah. And do you use your voice sometimes, like to signify that you're a woman?
I don't think I have a feminine voice, though.
You don't?
No. No, I probably just smile. I mean,
so
I
it's
definitely
body
talk,
language.
It's body language for sure. Yeah. I think eye contact and the smiling, it's my go-to anyways. Most places, like, or mostly anything. Yeah.
And well, I do, you know, covet your clothes always.
Yeah, we do.
And do you predominantly, is that what you feel most comfortable in, is like buying, I guess it's mostly men's clothes, or pretty much?
Yep. And Tracy, my partner, she really does help me get dressed. I mean, not dressed, but she really helps pick out my clothes. Like, because I had really bad taste. I tried things, and she's like, let me take a picture. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Next. Right. Yeah, so she's a huge part of, and so very supportive then, right? And even between the two of us, you know, she's learned to accept that this is how I like to dress, and it's like, well, if this is how you're dressing, like, we're gonna make it look good.
I just want to just loop back to that Katie Lang, because I think that's so important, kind of interesting and important. So I'd forgotten about Katie Lang, and how, for those of us who identify this way, to see somebody like that was kind of mind blowing.
It was like, I'm not on my own, because before Vernon, growing up, my thoughts were I had to either be a nun to be with a woman, or be in prison. This was how small my circle was, because I had no circle. I had no idea how I would ever be able to be with a woman. I mean, not that I really thought about being a nun or going to prison, but I never thought there was a life outside of just me having these crushes.
It would just always live there.
There was nothing gay on TV or anything up until I was like 19. Like, there was nothing. One of my dads, so my dad used to teach a lot, blacksmithing and stuff, being a farrier. And he had 2 women that were in it. And that was the closest I ever got to seeing anybody gay, I should say. And then
because you knew, or they just the way they presented?
For the way they presented.
Right.
And I was just all like flushed and giggles and oh my God, right? Oh.
Right.
Just wanted to be near them, right? Because it was like, that was the closest. And then I'm in Vernon and Katie Lang comes out and it was like, wow, there is another life. There is a life that I can have and that you just felt that she was doing something for us, even though I didn't think of it at that moment. I just was, I felt like, wow, there's,
her just choosing to be
just
herself.
Choosing to be,
herself.
And just an incredible performer, right? Like I felt, when I think of it now, it's like there was just this big hug. Like, I'm going to be okay. Yeah. That's why I want to have lunch with her.
I kind of think back to like seeing her at the Orpheum, probably in the maybe 80s, 90s. And just all of us types being like, wow. And then all the girlfriends are just like,
yeah.
Because she had a swagger.
Oh my God.
Has a swagger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like Katie Lang, like, yeah, wow. She really did help me come out. Huh. Yeah. So, wow.
And that's probably the most significant one. Can you think of others? Sometimes I like almost smack myself. When I was in high school, I did not know that Elton John was gay.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. I was just surprised that he got married. Yeah, really?
No.
Wow.
Like, that's how far I was from knowing gayness. Like,
wow, yeah.
Loved him.
Yeah.
Had every record.
Yeah.
Loved him, but it never occurred to me that there was some gayness happening there. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But
I met them on the pulse for that.
Probably had to be just super obvious, like Katie Lang. But you know what?
I mean, you say that, right? And I'm saying, oh yeah, I knew he was gay. But the thing is that I probably never watched videos of him for the most part. So I never thought of him as being gay and me seeing that there's somebody that's gay and famous out there. So yeah, maybe I didn't have my thumb on the pulse with that either. Huh, yeah.
Okay, well, how about some fun stuff? What do you do first thing when you wake up? What do you do?
Oh, God. Okay, so I get up and I make my partner and I our matcha teas, and I have a ginger lemon hot tea in the morning, and we sit for about a half an hour and I read and she scrolls and catches up on weather and stuff like that.
Because it's so dark, you don't know what the weather is outside.
I know.
Right?
We're always trying to figure out, because Tracy, she likes to know what the weather is because we need to know if we're going to go paddling or not.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah, so she's
paddler.
the itinerary for that, yeah.
I probably don't have to ask this, but cat or dog?
Dog.
I know. That was a rhetorical question.
I love cats. I'm allergic to them, so I have to love them at a distance.
I see. I see. What's your favorite season?
I'm going to say fall. Yeah. For one thing, it's got great clothes.
Right?
I love it.
I know.
Yeah, I love the fall
sweaters.
clothes. But I absolutely love just the colors and the freshness. And I think our city's beautiful in the fall too. Yeah.
How about then, on the theme of city, Vancouver, favorite place or places to go or things to do you love to do in Vancouver?
So glad you asked that question. I live in the city, but I feel like I don't live in the city. But at least 2 or 3 times a week, we go out, we're paddleboarders, and we're out on the water anywhere from like 5:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock in the morning. And so we're usually maybe one of 3 or 4 other people out on the water, and we get to see our city at the most beautiful times of the morning and the lighting of all different seasons, because we paddle throughout the whole year. And it's when I'm reminded that I live in the city and we've got the city and we've got the mountains, and I just feel so blessed.
What about music that gets you dancing?
Okay, well, like I said, because I came to Vancouver in the 90s, that music is just the best. And because I worked at Celebrities and Talk of the Town, I mean, I got the best music 3 or 4 nights a week. I got 5 years of incredible music to just work to every night. It was, so I feel that's
in your
my
veins.
It's in my veins.
How about go to comfort food?
Well, okay, so I'm plant-based.
Or
I know. And if I'm going to have a comfort food, it's probably going to be a vegetable dipped in, fried in something.
fried in something. Okay, there you go.
Like the mushroom burgers. Yeah.
Right.
The one that's been, fried up, the mushrooms.
Nice.
And French fries. Yeah.
So thinking about, what we've chatted about today. What does representation mean to you? And why did you say yes to doing this podcast kind of thing?
Okay.
You didn't have to.
No, I didn't. And I think it kind of circles back to that first dinner and the stories people told. And no matter if you're gay, straight, anything, when these stories are presented to you in the way that you'll be able to present them to the world, with your questions, we get a little bit deeper in things. And I think it allows people to really hear us and understand a little bit more. Because I was at an RMT just before this, and my RMT's straight, and we were talking about what we're going to be doing. And she's like, I really want to listen to this podcast. Let me know when it's on. And she goes, because I really want to hear their story. And I was like, okay, it gave me that confidence to do this even more on why I'm doing it, because it's people like her that just genuinely understand people more through the stories. Yeah.
Makes sense. So like a story versus a intellectual discussion about the importance of representation. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't have to, you just have to tell a story and for people to experience a real person and their real story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what would you say to that little Louise who was pulled between nunnery and prison? Or another little Louise maybe out there right now that's struggling?
That question, I think what I would want to do is give myself a great big hug and just whisper in my ear and just say, it's going to be okay. Just, it's going to be okay.
And here's a vest. You look awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It was, it was overalls then. Yeah. I just want to say, you'll be okay. Not to torment yourself too much. Yeah. There is definitely another world out there. I was just in a really small town, like, I'm not blaming it or anything like that. It's just how I grew up. But I would say you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I find it really inspiring hearing all these stories and your story and how somehow, people find a way to, you found a way to follow through, to kind of make it to who you are and who you need to be to feel good about yourself. And it's so amazing.
Yeah.
So yay.
I think there was a community. I always somehow found that there is a community, even if it's just for small times of your life that help you move forward and just opening yourself up.
Yeah. And what are you most hopeful about these days? If you are.
I am hopeful that the work that we've all done, like in the last 35 years, I'm hopeful that we can still keep moving forward. I think there's a lot of hiccups right now, bad hiccups. But I think our communities, our small pockets of friends, listening to stories, I think they're going to help us keep moving forward or help us to keep that momentum of where are we going to be in 20 more years from now? Like, I have no idea, because 35 years ago, I had no idea I would be here.
Yeah.
And I'm excited and hopeful to see maybe in 20 years what our conversation will be like, because I think we'll have it.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful and excited for that conversation, because I think it'll be amazing to look back.
Okay, I'm putting it in my calendar.
Okay.
20 years from now.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Mr. Gendered, the show where we swap labels for lived experience and get curious about life beyond the binary. On Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, Mr. Gendered Pod, web, MrGendered.com, email, hello@MrGendered.com. That's MISTER. The doc, Not Quite That, is at notquitethat.ca, free to watch at TELUS Originals, Optic TV, and Knowledge Network.